Hey guys, welcome to the 50th episode of the I Hope to Hear This podcast. So this is it's a commemorative episode, and we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. John Joules, the futuristic vintage co-founder of Watts Media Song. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, David.
And that's a very long intro because I feel like you're a man of many talents and a man who does many things. Before we even get into any conversation, can you kind of just catalog for us all the things that you do?
Right now, I guess you could say I create digital marketing assets for businesses.
Oh, okay.
So content, photo, video, copy, social media strategy. Those are like the main like areas of expertise.
So is it like if people or companies have a desire to be more, I guess, have a larger digital footprint in terms of like social media and things like that, they come to you. And so do you just handle everything for them? Or do you just make like, I don't know, templates for them that they can use? Or do you kind of just take over as kind of their marketing arm?
There are some clients I have where we take over as like their marketing arm. There are some clients that I have where it's like a one and done. They just need a video or they need a photo shoot done.
Oh.
And I don't know what that's going to look like in 10 years for me. But it's something that I do because it helps pay the bills.
And this is all through your company, right? Watts Media.
Yeah.
And what does Watts stand for?
Watts is an acronym for We Are the Songs. It's a company that Jennifer and I started together. My wife, Jennifer.
Okay, who is a very talented singer.
Very talented.
Very talented. I mean, I would almost say celebrity.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
And to some standards, she definitely has a lot of followers and supporters. And she was an early adopter of YouTube, which is what helped jumpstart her career. And she's a phenomenal singer and vocalist.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's an amazing songwriter. And now she is, she runs the business with me and she's working on her acting career here in Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Cool. So for the Watts Media, I know Jennifer is a great singer, but in terms of the actual operations of the company, like how do you guys divide your duties?
She is, I would say, the face of the company in a lot of ways. She is all about client relations. She's good with our clients. She is the bright face that keeps our clients happy. And she's our social media strategist.
Gotcha.
And she's our copywriter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she handles a lot of the text. My role is more of a creative director. I handle content creation, design, and overall direction of the things that our clients ask for and create.
So when you do, for example, like a video shoot, do you just go in and take video for the clients who already have an idea of what they want? Or do you also kind of step into the director role and like create the video or the imaging or the storyline or whatever?
I do all of it. There's an aspect of what I do outside of the company still. It's called day playing. Okay. And what a day player is somebody that jumps on different sets with different crews and fulfills a specific position.
Oh.
So sometimes I'll day play for another crew and I'll be a camera operator. Okay. Sometimes I'll day play for another crew and I'll be a grip or a gaffer, which is somebody that handles the lighting and like electricity for the set. Most of my day playing these days has been in photo assisting for photographers.
Okay.
It's I love photography. Photography is probably my like my most genuine passion in life right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, outside of music, I love photography. And I came in this game as a filmmaker, I guess you can say. Back in 2011, I picked up a camera and I started shooting YouTube-esque style cover videos for my then boss's clients who were all singers.
Okay.
And then I started shooting like hood, like rap videos, like, and then it'd be like, I charged like $300, and then I'd shoot the video, go to like their neighborhood, shoot the video, and then I'd edit it. And I thought I was amazing, you know, because like the original goal was to try to do something in the music industry. But then once I picked up a camera, I discovered that I guess there was like a natural lane for me to take, because on the back end side, the editing is very similar to, the software is very similar to music software, except there's a video element.
Wow.
Everything's on separate tracks. Editing kind of handles the same. And, you know, so I took a natural taking to video editing and discovered that I picked up on it pretty naturally. It just like kind of like flowed right into it.
Wow.
And then I started getting into photography just maybe 2 years ago, and I fell in love with photography.
Wow. So you did video first and then went into photography?
Yes.
Does that happen like that typically? I always would assume it was a reverse.
It is usually the other way around. But yeah, I think Jen talks about that a lot too. She says that it's interesting that I went motion first and then I went into stills after.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So, because right now, basically what you do in life is either things that you like or things that you started to pay the bills, right?
Right.
And for me, that's kind of like my dream, to be able to do something where like I don't have to work for someone else, or
Right.
I can make a living from doing things that I like, right? So I kind of want to just kind of trace your life from the beginning of when you found like your first passion, which I'm assuming is rap, is music.
My first passion was drawing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to be an illustrator when I was a child.
Okay, then let's kind of just take a journey and then kind of see what did you do to get to where you are.
Okay.
So that people who want to do the same can have kind of a template, you know, kind of a guideline to how it's done. So drawing, I had no idea.
Yeah. So my parents immigrated here in 1976. My dad had an engineering degree from a college in Korea. I don't know where. He came to this country because everything in Korea was going down the toilet, I guess. Like everybody needed to leave.
Right.
My dad was working at a factory, and then he interned at an art gallery. So my dad learned the art business when he got to America. My parents came here in 1974. My dad started his first art business in a flea market in 1976.
Oh, wow.
And then it went from a flea market to having a store inside of a shopping center in Succothana, New Jersey. And then, so that's where I think my passion for art started. I love to draw because when I would spend time at the shop, like most immigrant parents, their children were spending a lot of time at the business back when, you know, we were kids because we didn't have a choice. So there was a lot of art supplies around, so I would start drawing. A lot of early drawing inspirations was like Dragon Ball, Sonic the Hedgehog. I would draw ninjas and like battle scenes and stuff like that. And then I started doing like shading and started understanding like gradients and all of that. And then I picked up a trumpet in 4th grade. And naturally, when I played in school, I didn't practice that much, but I always got first chair in like band. And like, it was just easy to me.
So
like,
you kind of just had that music naturally.
I guess so, yeah. It was like a natural. I took piano lessons as a child, and then, but I didn't really like the piano, but I liked the horn. It was like, I guess it fit my personality back then. I was a very obstructive, like loud child in a lot of ways. So I picked up the horn. It was just like this natural talent that I have. I didn't really practice much, you know. Always ranked first or second chair, you know. And then
So, with your dad having started the art gallery and stuff, is that actually why your mom still, your mother still does the
she still
framing
runs the
business, right?
gallery. Yeah, it's in Cumming.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
it's right up. It's like 7 miles from here.
Oh, wow.
On 141.
Yeah, I remember. Wasn't one of her locations next to that Kroger down PIB?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
The
Songs Frames.
yeah, Songs Fine Art.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Songs Fine Arts. Yeah, yeah.
McGinnis Ferry 141. Yeah,
Right,
we
right.
had that shop from like 95 to '08.
Wow. They didn't change the sign for the longest time. I think it's like a completely different store now, but
Yeah,
I remember.
it's a birdhouse store
Right,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
My mom sold that business right before the crash.
Wow.
So we got lucky.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lucky.
And then my dad passed away in 95. So pretty much the year that we moved here, he set up the shop. He passed away. My mom and then my uncle, my emo boo, took my dad's place in the business. My mom ran that business for 13 years.
Wow.
She retired for 3 months and then opened another shop in Cumming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think our parents are built to retire. They
They're
always
not.
need to be doing something.
At least my mom isn't. She retired and then she went to Korea to see her family, her younger brother. And then he was like, if you stop working now, then you'll probably pass away in 10 years because you'll have nothing to do. So then she came back,
Wow.
took all the money that she saved up for her retirement and reinvested it back into another business.
Wow. And it's incoming now.
It's incoming.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now going back to like your story, as you were getting into trumpets, did you kind of continue to refine and hone into your musical like skills and like figuring out identifying what you liked and things like that?
I would say my first like fandom of music was Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I really loved his music. And it was encouraged by my parents for me to listen to his music. And I
Right.
remember that I would watch his like live concert tape pretty often. And
He's a Christian artist, right?
yes, yeah. He had this song called The Great Adventure back in the day. And it was like my favorite song. But like looking back, it was a country song. Yeah. Yeah, I think his son is like a singer too. He like does Colony House or something.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
yeah, it was Stephen Curtis Chapman. And then shortly after that, I discovered alternative rock. And then technically the first CD that I ever bought was Nirvana.
Wow.
Yeah, Unplugged in New York. I think
Wow.
that released in like 93 or something. And then trumpet was like something that was always there. I joined the jazz band in middle school. Loved it. And then I started getting exposed to like jazz music, Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie. My band teacher in middle school, Mr. Walmsley, was pretty cool dude. And we would play a lot of different music. Like I remember we would get booked to like play at different gigs all over town, whether it be like galas or stuff. And then like we would go out. So like I understood like what gigging felt like and all of that. And then, and then I started 9th grade, turned into like a fake little Asian thug and like rebelled against everything. And I stopped playing trumpet in 10th grade. And then throughout high school, before all of that, in 7th grade, I remember I started a rap group called Mad Skills.
Oh, okay.
And that Skills with a Z, so it
right,
was like
right.
stupid. And that was like me and a few other friends. But I cheated because I used to take like raps from other rappers,
Right.
and then I would rap them, claiming that they were mine. And then somebody called me out and said like, I've heard that before. And then that's when I stopped. And then that was like 7th grade.
So that's when you stopped the Mad Skills group.
Yeah, I just kind of like stopped talking about it and stopped pushing myself. Like I remember I used to like draw myself with like Mad Skills gear in like class.
Wow.
And then that was like 7th grade. I remember that. And then high school was just shooting pool illegal drinking and partying. And then freshman year at Georgia State, my friend who went to Georgia Tech was able to get his hands on this computer software called Fruity Loops. I think Tech has like this P2P network where you can like share movies and music and files. Like, at least this was the case back in 2002. I don't know if this is the case now, but he found this music software called Fruity Loops. And then it was a like music making software.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it before. I thought music was made on like, you know, very large synthesizers and beat machines and, you know, stuff like that, and like big studios, but like this had everything inside of just like a laptop. So he gave me the software, and then we started, me and I would say 2 other friends that were in our crew started making beats.
Wow.
And then we started freestyling, and that was freshman year, so 2002.
Wow.
And then that continued on till about 2006, and then all of us kind of like parted and went our separate ways. And then after that, I started another group. My first rap group was called Kamikaze. It was like just a bunch of Asian dudes, and we recorded songs. Like, I remember I went to Guitar Center, bought a lot of gear, started my own studio in my apartment.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we would just like, you know, get inebriated and make music, which was, you know, just the way things were back then. And then, and then we all kind of went our separate ways.
At this time, were you like going around doing shows and stuff?
No, not really. It was more of just like a social gathering. Like, some people would get together and play board games. Some people would get together, maybe watch movies. Some people would get together and, you know, maybe play sports. Like, me and my buddies, we would get together and like make music. That was our thing. But we didn't really take it serious enough to where we were thinking about how to monetize off of what we were doing. It was just more of like a fun thing.
Right. Because you enjoyed it. And that's like, you guys had that shared interest. So
yes.
I see.
Yeah. So it was like, I traded up like Friday night Bible study for like Friday night gatherings at the studio. Yeah, it was, but it was fun. I don't think I really learned anything until I actually started taking it more seriously. And this is like, fast forward to like 2011. That's when I got an internship at a recording studio.
Okay.
And like off like Howell Mill. It was it's the studio that's known for like helping discover Justin Bieber.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I interned there for like 9 months. So I learned the music industry, the real music industry, like because back then it was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my song on MySpace and like just share it with my friends. But actually, like, I understood what, like, you know, splits were and how songs really get created, the business side of how music gets handled and labels and all the drama that comes with that. That was when I really learned about how the business side of music actually works, and that was in 2011.
Wow.
Which is the same year that, actually no, I started interning there in 2009, and then I became a manager of the studio in 2010.
Oh wow. Of that studio?
Yeah. And then and then I managed that studio for 2 years.
So what did managing a studio entail?
I was in charge of the intern staff. I handled bookings, and
so bookings, is that like other people want to come record their stuff?
Yeah. So we get a phone call, or a label calls us and they say, we have Music Soul Child coming in and he wants to book 5 days in room B. So I would make sure that our calendar was always on point, like on top of everything. And then I learned how to properly audio engineer and become like a actual like Pro Tools operator. Pro Tools is the software that a lot of big studios use to make music.
Oh, cool.
And that started in like 2009. And then that's when my eyes really opened to like, okay, like people actually make careers out of this and everybody here is happy. Not everybody there is like good people, but everybody was happy and doing what they were passionate about.
Right.
And like I was really attracted to that. Yeah. And then that was an amazing time in my life. Got to learn so much, got to meet so many different people. Got to learn so much about the way the world works on the music side. And then in 2011, I had my boss, he was managing an artist who was on season 3 of The Voice, and she was from Texas. Phenomenal singer to this day. She wanted to break into the YouTube space, and she asked me for her help. So I got my hands on this like junky Nikon D50 300 that only shot like 720p video. So I got my hands on that camera and just started shooting her cover videos. She would cover songs like Adele songs and anything that was popular on the charts, like she would cover it. And then that turned into me buying a Canon T3i off of Craigslist for like $400. So I finally bought my own camera. And then like the early stages of the Futuristic Vintage, it was a production company.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was a video production company. I would shoot videos for her, a lot of different artists, and then I'd shoot like rap videos. And then so like as I was managing the studio, I had my side hustle going on with like video production.
Oh, and can I ask you about the name Futuristic Vintage?
Yeah.
I think it's so cool because it's kind of contradictory. It's like an oxymoron, right?
Yeah.
Futuristic vintage implying. So how did you come up with that name, and what were you hoping to like portray?
I think okay, so anything that involves creativity, anything that involves art, I believe we're at a point in human existence where nothing is brand new. I believe that we're just going to continue to roll in this cycle. And like, even for us as human beings, we pull so much inspiration from our past. So like the futuristic vintage is a ideology or a state of mind in your creative process where you pull something from your past that brought you joy or inspired you. You put your own twist on it, and then you send it into the future.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool.
So that's like it's like the mantra for my creative journey, because like I always am inspired by things that I see. I get more inspired from like watching a YouTube video of a James Brown like performance than I do seeing stuff that's happening right now on television. So I'm always pulling inspiration. And it happens in fashion too. Like, you know, in the 1990s, the grunge style was like flannels and like ripped jeans. And now we're like back in that.
Right.
So what's going to happen next? And it's just going to be this constant regurgitation of things that we've seen in the past. The same way that like Tommy Hilfiger and Polo and Nautica like somehow managed to make it back into the clothing racks of, you know,
like Champion. Like I remember Champion was dead for a while.
Champion was dead, and then it came back. You know, so it's just like, you know, I believe that everybody has the same creative process in a lot of ways, and that's like the message, and I guess it's going to be the mantra for the rest of my life. If I continue to do creative work, I'm always going to push this ideology of believing that there's nothing new under the sun, and everything that we're creating is something that was inspired by what we felt in the past, and we're only just taking what we learned and just bringing it into the future. The futuristic vintage.
Wow.
And I love like vintage cars. I'm a huge like Japanese import
Oh yeah.
person. So like that's like all of that is some way like something inspired from the past, and then you put your own twist on it and then send it into the future. Like modding cars, clothing, love thrifting, you know. Yeah, just I feel like everything in my life is kind of got that same thing wrapped around. And it's just, you know, I got it. I got the logo tattooed on my head. So.
Oh, we can see it.
Yeah, it's on the right.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I should have noticed that earlier. But
Yeah.
cool. So then, so futuristic vintage. It started off as kind of a video production brand.
Yeah.
Did you do any sort of music production in there as well? Because I always thought that like the futuristic vintage was kind of your persona.
Yeah.
In your rapping and the music production space.
I think it's the one thing that's always been consistent. So I guess at first, when I first started it, I wanted it to be a company. And then when I married Jen, I wanted that to be our music label. And then now I realize that there's so much turmoil that exists inside of me when I try to separate myself and the brand. So and then I think it was the beginning of 2019, I decided to just make the brand and me one single entity because Watts was taking off.
Right.
So I had my own business that I needed to manage. And then I didn't want to be like Joules and then have this other, the futuristic vintage. So it was like, it's too much. It's like I felt like I was having split personalities. So I decided to just merge the futuristic vintage and myself into one single entity. And it makes sense for me because like it is who I am, and it's like the rules that I live by in my own creative process. So, yeah.
So can I ask you about the name Joules? Because actually one of my favorite songs that you've made that I still actually listen to now is from your album. The cover is you sitting on like a cloud.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking? Yeah.
That was called Job.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you went by Joules back then, and I think the song was it Sleepless? I forget
Sleep Deprivation.
Sleep Deprivation. Yeah. I still listen to that to this day. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But so what was because Joules? Where did you get that name?
My first rap name was actually Slanted Shady.
Oh,
because I was a huge Eminem fan.
Right.
That was a terrible name. I used to bleach my hair and wear sweatpants and hoodies all the time and like try to act like I was Eminem. Shout out to Eminem. He's a very big inspiration in my life. Still love his music. But Joules came from... So there was a point in time when we would freestyle. I always try to like freestyle stories and it'd be like story time. I'm a huge science fiction nerd. And so Jules Verne was like the first science fiction author. So I have curly hair as a Asian male, which is very rare. And so when I grow my hair out long, it starts to like fro out and look like a perm. So as a joke, I started going by Jules Perm instead of Jules Verne.
Oh.
And then so like it turned into this like kind of like comedic type of person entity. And then it's like, you know, like the entendre of like a jewel being a unit of energy. I want it to be a light in, you know, the music industry. So, you know, that like goes back to my faith and all of that. And then so I eventually just dropped the perm thing and then just went by Joules, and then that kind of stuck because I don't know, like having a name, it's just weird. Like I wish that there was a better story for me to tell about why I chose that, but
no, I think that's a great story.
I think it's cool. I mean, yeah, I kind of like the ambiguity of whether or not it's like male or female. I'm very like gaudy. I love jewelry. So like Joules is like, it kind of just like, I guess it kind of fits like my personality, you know, and it just stuck around, and, you know, Jen likes it. And if I could change my, I guess, name, I don't even know what I would change it to. I've toyed around with new ideas for like names. Like, I think at one point I wanted to like change my name to Framework.
No, but you're like Joules though. You're kind of known around here.
I guess so. Yeah. So
I mean,
yeah.
like, I don't know if you're gonna be too humble to admit this, but you're kind of like I would say like the godfather of like music production amongst like the Asian American community around here, right? And like with rapping and all that kind of stuff, right?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So it would be weird for you to change your name now, right? Because you're already so well known as Joules.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the first scare was like there's another Joules on Spotify. There's actually like 3 Joules on Spotify. So
I
like,
know what you mean, because
I would think,
yeah, whenever I search it, like I have to like scroll through and make sure.
Yeah.
I hate it because I listen to your songs and then they'll play like some other Joules' song after.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't John Hyung.
We're trying to change that in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hopefully. The way that you do that, it's all algorithms and you just got to continue to release music. So,
I see.
And then it really depends on plays and people that follow you on all these platforms and all of that. But, one day, hopefully those people will fizzle out. Because I have plans on just making music for the rest of my life. And like the past 2 years have been really me focusing on the business, with the Watts business, commercial like video and photography side of my life. And I'm trying to make more strides now to, I guess, reincorporate the music element of everything and then kind of push that into the future.
You recently had a song out with your wife called Sus.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about that and what the inspiration behind that was? Because that was actually, of all the songs you released, wasn't that the first song? Actually, I don't know if it's the first. Because I remember the last big release you had was the John EP.
Yeah, that was in 2015.
Right, that was several years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
I feel like I haven't seen, like Broke, actually you were on Broke with your wife.
I was on Broke with Jen.
Yeah, here and there you have. Yeah. But whenever you are featured, are you featured or is it like a collaborative song? Like how do you even kind of?
I think with John, that was like my, I collaborated with producer. His name's Rourke Bailey. He actually started in this business as he worked for the studio I was at. He was my intern actually, and now he is killing it. I just saw him today actually. I linked up with him today. We had lunch and took some photos. Yeah, but he produced that whole project. That was John in 2015. I wrote the lyrics, set the tone for like what I was talking about. He made all the productions and the soundscape. And then we just kind of pushed that one out. At the time I was working at the agency that I was at. So like I was so burnt out. I couldn't really push the music as much as I wanted to. So that project fizzled out, but I still listen to it once in a while to this day. I think it's a good project. And then took a long hiatus from music because of like it really has a lot to do with my energy level and like the amount of energy I can put into it without completely driving myself crazy, because when you're burning the candle on both ends,
right,
life gets really hard. And then when you and your wife have similar interests and are so passionate about those things, and then it turns into like a point of contention where you fight about it. It kind of like turns you off from it. So there was a long period where I felt like that I was never going to make music again. And then Jen did her album, which was produced by Sam Ock. And then we did Broke. And Broke was, I always tell this to Sam, that Broke was the song that gave me life.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's a really great story about that song. Jen went to Sam's place. This was when he was living in Norcross. Okay. She went to his place and they concepted that song. It's about the start of our marriage. And she said that she wanted me to feature on this one. And I said, okay. And then I've never like rapped on that tempo before, like kind of a slower tempo. Because my tempo is always a little bit, I guess like old school tempo, which is like 90 to 100 BPM.
Okay.
That song is at 115. So it's the tempo's at 115, but like in actuality, it's really like 58. That's the BPM, so it's like a slower song. It's harder to rap when the beat's slow because you can't rap slow. It sounds boring, so you got to kind of speed it up and make it interesting. So I wrote a verse to that song, and I rapped it for Jen, and she said, "This is trash. You have to throw this. You have to throw this verse away." And we probably got into a fight about it.
Wow.
And I was like really hurt. And then it was actually one of the first times that I actually prayed. And I was like, I asked God for wisdom, and I asked God to help me with my creative process when it came to music. Because when it came to things that I would do for my job at the agency, video production, like I would ask God to like give me the energy and like the wit and the grit to be able to survive through any project. But like when it came to music, it was always such a selfish experience, because I always felt like that music was something that belonged to me. But for the first time with that song, I actually gave myself to the Lord. And then I remember, this was back when I used to smoke. I was sitting out on our porch, and we were living in Old Fourth Ward at the time. I was sitting out on the porch. I was smoking, really stressed out, because my wife, who I love dearly, asked me to rewrite a verse that I had already spent a lot of time writing. And then I remember I prayed while I was sitting on that porch, and I asked God to I surrendered myself, and I said, just please give me the words to match this song. And then I remember after doing that, 30 minutes, I wrote that verse straight without rethinking anything. It just came out.
Oh, wow.
So God gave me the inspiration to write that song and help Jen. And it's the first time that in my life, as an artist, where I perform that song and people actually rap the words back to me.
Wow.
So like, it's kind of like an affirming thing. And that Broke was the song that really kind of kickstarted my interest back into believing that music could also be an option for my future.
Oh, wow. So the time between Broke and Johnny P, was it like several years?
That was 2000. Broke was 2017.
Oh, so like 2 years in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like 2 years. And then Sus,
which came out like only like a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Sus, Jen and I have been in the studio with Sam. We have been working on a new project together.
Oh, wow.
But, with us running our business, and then, fitting in music is like still very difficult, because of scheduling. Sam has his own life with Yeji, his wife, and he is very busy doing his own stuff. And so we have been going to Sam's house often, writing new songs. I think we have like 5 new songs that we've written that we haven't recorded yet.
Oh.
And then one day, sporadically, Jen was like, hey, let's just record. I want you to make a beat. Let's write the lyrics. Let's record it, and let's mix it, and let's master it, and let's just put it out and see what happens. Wow. So I said, okay, let's do it. Like, Jen and I have very different work ethic, principles, and I guess, we're very different when it comes to our creative process. I'm a 3-wing-4 on the Enneagram.
Okay.
Jen is a 6. So we're in the triangle together, whatever that is, the 3-6-9 triangle.
Okay.
But I'm also an INTJ, so like a really weird, cluster of like different personalities, and I'm probably 60% introverted on the spectrum. So and her approach is like, we don't have to fine tune the details. Like everything will be fine. And I'm like, no, like we have to do everything exactly the way it's supposed to be done, or else like I'm going to live in this pool of regret. Yeah. I mean, when we did like, so I made the beat on a Sunday, started making the beat on a Sunday. We got into a fight Sunday night. I was like, forget this. I'm going to bed. Monday morning, even though I had a lot of work I had to do for the business, like I still couldn't keep my mind off of wanting to finish this and challenge myself. So Monday morning, I restarted trying to make a track for it. I found that guitar loop, and then I just put drums over it. And then Jen was like, okay, I like this. And then so she just started like singing along. And then she was like, well, what should the song be about? And I think sus just came around because it's such like a buzzword right now. Like everything's like
so. I'm probably just really out of the loop with the vernacular or the slang these days. What does sus actually mean?
Sus is like suspect, something that you are suspicious of.
Okay,
you know?
now
so
it
like,
makes sense. I see.
Yeah, so when something like somebody's acting suspicious, or you say like, ooh, like he's being sus.
Right. Okay.
So it wasn't really inspired by anything. It was just more like when I thought of it, it was like, oh yeah, this is like a cool topic to write about that pertains to our lives, you know, and so it just stuck around. And we both use the word sus a lot when we're together. So like we were like, oh, let's write a song about sus people. And then it was like, oh, okay, that might actually stick.
Because when I first heard it, I was wondering if there was someone that was a topic or the subject of the song, like some business deal went bad, or like something happened where it was like, yeah, you were directing like kind of anger toward this person for being shady.
We can talk about that after we get off.
Okay.
Not on the live podcast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's their subject matter that pertains to certain personalities in the music. But we don't have to go into that right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's that was the inspiration behind that. Was just, you know, we just wanted to like, you know, I guess maybe it was something we just need to get off our chest. I don't know. I just said, I just told her, let's write about sus people. And then we wrote the song. We recorded it on the Monday. I mixed it on the Tuesday. We sent it to mastering on the Wednesday. Got it back from mastering. It sounded like garbage. We got into a fight on Thursday. I took a break for 2 days from the song and then went back and mixed it again on a Sunday, I think. Resent it to mastering, so we had to pay for mastering twice. Okay. Because of we have to do everything according to you know, very military style of I guess it's the 3 inside of me, I don't know. So, and then we resent it to mastering after I mixed it, and then that's the version that's now on Spotify.
Can I ask, so I just don't know anything about the subject, so this is going to seem like a very ignorant question. But what is the difference? Like, what is mixing a song and what is mastering a song?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of a really good parallel to think about. Mixing is like taking the ingredients that you need to bake a cake. Okay. Putting it all inside of the baking pan. Mastering is actually putting that baking pan of all the things that you mix together and putting it in the oven. I see. So mastering finalizes the overall product and makes it so that when you take it out, you can actually consume it. So like if you just mix something, it might taste good. Like cake batter tastes delicious, right? But it's not going to be consumed the way that it is intended to be consumed. Pretty much mastering is making the song radio ready so that if you play a song that's not mastered and it pops up on Spotify, and this happens to me a lot when I listen to like indie artists because they don't want to pay to master their music, or they think that they can watch a YouTube video, and John wasn't mastered professionally. Rourke did mastering. It's a completely different standard of operation and sound design. So yeah, it pretty much is like if you hear a song that's like really loud and then you hear a song that's like really quiet, like they didn't operate under the standard of what like the correct decibel reading should be when you play the song inside of your headphones, or that's what mastering engineers do.
Oh,
they make it so that it like follows the certain guideline of like, and like makes everything in the song like more pronounced in that. So like if it does ever play on the radio or something, then, or it gets placed on a movie, then, that's like, it'll be a good clean version of the audio file.
Then is a really dumbed down way of saying that, can it be like mixing is when you put all the pieces together and the song kind of sounds like what the song is going to sound like, but mastering is where kind of the levels are, like the volume levels are kind of...
I would say putting the pieces together, like, so if we're going to use like the cake analogy, right? Figuring out what sort of cake you want to make, that's producing. That's like actually making the music. And then when you mix it, that's like you actually creating all of the ingredients that you selected, and then you're making it into what will eventually turn into a piece of bread.
I see.
And then mastering would be the process of putting it into the oven, waiting for it, and then taking it out and tasting it and being like, this is exactly the way that I wanted it to be, with all the ingredients, everything with the production.
Okay.
Yeah, so mastering is just another fancy way of just making sure that everything that you do on the song is going to be played at the right decibel if it goes on Spotify.
I see. So is that very different from kind of the stuff that you do? Do you not like mastering your own stuff, or is it?
It's a completely different process.
Okay.
Yeah, because like mixing what you do, like when you're in praise band, so like when you're setting up, you used to be in praise band, so like when you're setting up, usually if like the sound engineer is like, okay, can I hear just the kick by itself? What they're doing is they're mixing the room, making sure that all the levels sound good. Mastering is you take everything, a single file, wave file, and then you send it to the mastering tech, and they run it through hardware that has compressors, limiters, EQ, all this stuff, and then they make the sound more enhanced. It's a completely different process.
I see.
Like mixing is like when you see all the faders and like you're controlling every aspect of the song, So a good mix, if you send a good mix to mastering, then it'll just make the mix sound even more phenomenal.
Wow.
I see. So like in the case of Sus, I sent a very bad mix, and the master did not turn out well. So the only way to redo it is you have to literally remix the song from the ground up again.
Wow.
And then send it to mastering. So we paid for it twice. But I had to do it for my peace of mind.
Yeah, and it sounds great. It's a great song. Yeah.
Yeah. We like the song too.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
So is that going to be kind of one of the songs in the bigger album that you guys are working on now, or is it a standalone single?
I think it'll probably make the album.
I see.
Yeah. We have like I think 5 other songs with Sam right now. Jen's also working on her solo project, and I just got back from New York to work on my own rap album as well.
Oh wow. Dang, so there's a lot of things in the oven right now that's cooking.
Yeah. Really excited. This next album, I think so far I've produced and made every beat and have written every lyric so far.
You just have to kind of record now?
Then
do the mixing and all that?
I finished 8 songs in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know I don't want to... Do you have any dates in mind for these projects, when you want to be done by, when you want to release, or is it kind of just up in the air?
Hopefully before we all turn into celestial beings and get reunited with our Lord and Savior one day. Yeah, but I'm hoping 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanna release the music soon.
Uh-huh.
But, not really put so much pressure on myself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know. I after after my experience writing the verse for Broke with Jen, I learned then so much the importance of relying on God to like help with things like, it opened my eyes to so much that I close off. Even like my dirty side, like the things that like I feel shameful about in my own personality. Like, there's so much that I realize that there's so much I can bring to God and lay at his feet because like he already knows all this stuff about me anyway. So why not have an open conversation and just be completely transparent about it and just be like, look, like this is what I'm dealing with. Like, so I'm bringing this to you. And like, I know like this music stuff and the things that I talk about can be really selfish, but like, I don't know, like how else would I curate my story in a song when like I'm pulling everything from things that I've experienced in my life, like, cause like I'm not the type of artist that's gonna like have every song rap about the redemptive blood of Jesus Christ.
Right.
Like, like, cause like that's not gonna affect the young man that may pick up on my music that is struggling with drug addiction the same way that I have, or the young man that has repeatedly gone down the wrong path of partying and, or the young man or girl, I'm not, not to, the young person that may hear my music and also has had a parent that has died when they were younger, so like, I would love to, be able to like every song that I create be like something that's like very so on the nose of praising Jesus, but I am a man of metaphors and I love to I love finding beauty between the lines that are written in our stories.
Yeah. And if you only kind of show the side of yourself where, you're portraying your victories, but not any of your like failures or losses, then anyone who's trying to follow in your footsteps is gonna say, hey, well, John went through all these victories and he never had a misstep,
right?
So what am I doing wrong that I'm like failing at every turn, right? So
it's I think like that's prosperity rap or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. You got to show it off so that people aren't disillusioned.
Yeah, exactly. I like to talk about things that are dark and like, and I think that's also another reason why Jen and I have taken so long to making music, because Jen loves talking about things that aren't necessarily. But I also believe that like she didn't have the same life experience. She was very straight edge growing up. She definitely has had her own fair share of struggles in her life, and I'm never going to discount that. And I respect her for that and for surviving all of that. But she gravitates towards the light, whereas me, I naturally gravitate more towards like the shadows and the darkness of things that exist.
So your solo rap album, is that kind of more exploring that dark part of you?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, a lot of
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of this one coming up. I love it. I love the music that I've made in New York when I was there. I love the lyrics that are coming out of it. And I rarely feel that way about anything that I create. I'm actually my worst critic. But this time, like when I put out John, there was a side of me that was like, this doesn't feel like me all the way. But I love the project, but like I felt like that it wasn't the truest depiction of who I am as a person, whereas this next project coming up is literally every aspect of what you hear is going to be a reflection of what my soul feels like on the inside.
Wow. Can I ask you a insider's question on the John EP?
Right.
There's a part where it sounds like it's your wife's voicemail that she left you.
Right.
Is that an actual voicemail, or did you guys kind of record that to sound
No, that was fake.
Okay. No, because I always assume that it is. I'm like like, when people do that kind of stuff.
I think that's another reason why like that project didn't feel genuine to me as well. Like it was just I was trying to create this universe inside of that project. Like if you listen to the album, everything connects. It's a story. All the sound designing, me driving up to my job, walking out, rapping to myself as I'm walking through an office or an agency. All of that was to depict the story of like where I was currently at in my life, like my state of mind. And shout out to Rourke, like he did such an amazing job with all the production, but there was just something about that project to me that didn't really reflect what I was feeling, truly feeling on the inside.
I see.
But I think this next project is, project's really going to describe a lot of my personality.
So what would you say has the best, highest probability of being released first, of your solo album or the duo, the joint effort by you and your wife?
I don't know. Probably the Watts album.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be number one.
If we follow you on Instagram or something like that, can we be kept up to date about?
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At We Are the Songs. Yeah. And then, that probably, we'll see once the holidays kick off. And then, we're also doing a podcast too.
Yeah,
so that's going to be, I think we're launching that on the second Tuesday of January.
Is that going to be called We Are the Songs podcast? Or
That one's called Wattscast.
Wattscast. Oh.
Wattscast podcast. Yeah.
That's
We're doing that with Kat Ko. She's our assistant. She's a music industry major at UGA.
Okay.
And she wants to become an entertainment lawyer.
Oh wow.
So we brought her on as our assistant, and she's been killing it with like scheduling people and doing stuff with that. And
so do you guys kind of have like a singular theme throughout, or like what kind of discussions do you guys have on that podcast?
I would say so far it's what it means to be Asian American in the creative industry.
Wow.
I think that would be the underlying theme that talks about everything.
Okay, so you said, is it second Tuesday of January?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're like 80% done with the rollout.
Wow.
Planning.
Okay.
So all I have to do is when I get home, actually, I got to create a logo.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow, you do it all, don't you?
No, well, I try to. It's just, I don't know. My philosophy with life when it comes to work is have a great attitude and try to never say no to things. You know, that's gotten me into a lot of trouble. But for the most part, like graphic design, I know a lot of graphic designers, and the way that they approach their art is amazing. Like everything from spacing, typeface, you know, how things flow, the user experience behind what they design. All of that is stuff that I would like to continue to learn. I see things very different because I'm not really disciplined in any standard. When everything I do for a living is self-taught. I went to college for what you actually do as work.
Supply chain. Yeah.
Supply chain.
Wow.
And I don't remember anything from college. I got my degree, and it's hanging up in my office. And one thing I will say that college taught me was it taught me how to grind. And it really taught me what it means to work really hard to get something that you want. And for me, it was to get my degree. You know, because it took me like 8 years to finish college because I made so many mistakes. as when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't regret any of it.
Mm.
It's made me who I am, and college was great. It was a good learning experience, but it wasn't a. I remember certain things from like accounting class, and I remember certain things from like my marketing classes. But what I got my degree in, how I passed that capstone class at the end of business school, no idea. It was honestly just the Lord just saving me once again.
So then, if you were to talk to someone who like looks at your life and says, "Wow, I wish I could do something like that," where, you know, using the passions that I have to, like, pretty much monetize and just chase passions consistently, what kind of advice would you give them?
Okay. This is a hard question to answer.
Okay. I mean, are there like little nuggets along the way you've learned where you, like, when you've experienced something, you say, "Man, I wish I knew this when I was younger, and it would have helped me out a lot." Anything like that?
If you're afraid of the sacrifice that it takes, okay, let's start with the pessimistic, cynical side, which is me being an a-hole. If you're not going to really be serious about it, then just stop doing it, get out of the way, so the people that really are serious about it can actually make a life doing it. Because there's so much junk out there. It's so saturated with like all this different, especially in the creative industry. Like, if you really want it, then like really go for it and really work hard for it. Sacrifice everything for it. Go into debt for it. Like, open up credit cards for it, and like lose friends and like strain your relationships with your parents for it. Give up everything. Forego the BMW and drive that Hyundai for 10 years for it. But if you're not willing to do that, then just get out of the way and make room for the person that really deserves it. That's the cynical, pessimistic side of how I feel. The more optimistic side is understand budgeting. Learn about how you and your needs fit with the amount of income that you're required. Because being somebody that runs your own business does not mean that you're going to have this junky quality of life and you're going to be eating cup ramen every day. That may be the case when you're first starting out for a few months. But that's not going to be forever. So like, just be honest with yourself. Like, I love to shop and I love clothing. So I'd be honest with myself, and I set aside money so that I can afford these things that I like to have. I mean, I'm not buying like Louis Vuitton, but like, you know, I'll at least, like, if I ever go to Uniqlo when I'm in like LA or New York, like, I know that I can ball out and it won't be a problem.
Right.
You know, or like if I find a piece of clothing that I love, shoes, like I can, you know, set some money aside for that. I love gear, camera gear, audio gear. Be honest about who you are as a person, and like, you know, your quality of life should be the end goal of what you work towards. Budgeting everything. Learn about how you spend money, ways that you can save money. The best way to make money sometimes is to save it. Just like, don't spend any of it. Why do you need to go out and get bubble tea with your friends that night? You can put that money towards something else. Like, you know, do you really need to drive that car? Like, could you, like, I'm 35 and I still drive a Civic, you know, like there's so many different ways that you can just like decrease the amount of money that, because like financial stability is life. Like, you need money to live.
Right.
And that's the only way that you can actually grow something. Master your arena in the name of Christ. If you believe that you are truly talented with something, then you have to lay it all the way down at the feet of Jesus and believe that he is going to bless you with this gift that he's given you.
Wow.
that's how it was for me for video production. When I first got my job at the agency, he does a lot of like commercial and like, you know, nonprofit sector type of content. And I lied about everything when I first met him. I told him that I knew how to do everything, but I didn't. And I would act like I'm working at work, and then I would take all my work home and go on YouTube when I'm at home and teach myself how to do these things. And then it's a really hard time in my life, you know, like sleepless nights, gaining a lot of weight from just eating junk food, stress eating and stuff like that, you know, just going crazy, literally going crazy. And I had just gotten married to Jen. So like, you know, it was...
But that's kind of like the part of the sacrifice that you were talking about, right? And like knowing how to grind through all that. Wow.
I just wanted it so bad. I wanted to do something with my creativity so badly that nothing stopped me from wanting to achieve that level of having that level of skill set, I guess. And then, so if you really, I would pray, I'd be stressed out. I'd pray to God, and he would give me strength, and he would push me through. And then now it's only been 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. I've only been in this industry for 6 years, and like I started as a peon knowing nothing in 2013, and now I'm going on my 3rd year of running my own business.
Yeah, wow, that's inspirational. It's inspirational to me because my wife is trying to start her own business, and I think one of the parts she struggles with is kind of that self-doubt thing. But yeah, I'm gonna get her to listen to this to really understand laying down of her skill sets to Christ, and
master your arena in the name of Christ. Like, you're not always going to be the best person to do whatever it is that you want to do, but the constant prayer is that you're going to be proficient at your job, and God will give you that special thing that differentiates you from the other person that people will see and people will recognize. And that's what you need to work towards and understand. And it's honest. And then a lot of know thyself, like know who you are. If you're an artist, and know what type of artist that you are and the things that you are capable of. You know, one of my good friends, she's a graphic designer in New York. She just recently quit her job, and she is flourishing freelancing in New York City. Wow. And she recently told me that she has no idea, or she has very limited knowledge in understanding Photoshop.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is crazy, because you would automatically tie in like a very extended knowledge of Photoshop if you are a graphic designer. But she says that she doesn't really know it that well. And she does everything in other apps that like have nothing to do with Photoshop. And that blew my mind. So like she has a very unique set of skills that she is leveraging for her future, and as a part of her brand that makes her unique from everybody else. And I think that's amazing.
Wow. That is amazing. Before we wrap up, I would be remiss if I didn't mention your wife's new song. It's a Christmas. It's an original Christmas song. Around the Fire.
Yeah.
Did you have involvement in that, or was that kind of a completely solo endeavor of her own?
That's all her and Sam.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Jen, she just, I don't know, her and Sam are just like amazing together, you know, because like I'm not a skilled, like I only know how to read the treble clef because of trumpet. You know what I mean? So like that's the only scale I know how to read. And then the way I make music is I'm a sample producer. Okay. So I what I would do when I was younger, I would go to record shops, find records like this Kind of Blue record here by Miles Davis. Yeah. Like I'd go to like what's called the dollar bins, and you'd find like junky old records that like nobody really wants, and then I'd literally find sounds, load them into my beat machine, and I would make beats using those sounds. The same style of how like Kanye was making music in his like first few albums. It's a standard in hip hop production culture that is still being used to this day.
Right,
A lot
right.
of people still sample. So that's how I made music, and that's what I've been doing since I was like 18. So, but Sam is he got his degree in jazz.
Oh, wow.
So it's a perfect match. And yeah, they just do that song together. Jen's such a talented writer. She and she loves Christmas. And they did a Christmas song, I think 2 years ago, Jolly Without Me.
Okay.
That's a good song. That one's about our dogs.
I remember. I remember I saw you guys perform that somewhere once, and it was weird because when she was right before she started to sing that, she explained that it was about her dog.
Yeah.
I always thought it was about like you, like without
No,
you.
no, it's about Toby, because this was back when we didn't have our second dog. So like there'd always be a joke that like her and I would always be out shopping and doing fun things, and then Toby would be stuck at home by himself. So Jolly Without Me.
Oh wow! So I mean, for 2020, it sounds like there's a lot for us to be looking forward to.
I hope so.
There's the Watts cast is.
Yes.
Is that going to be like a weekly on Tuesday kind of release?
I think
schedule?
bi-weekly right
Bi-weekly?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Or it might be once in a while.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. The goal is bi-weekly, but depending on how crazy my work schedule is, I don't know if I'll be able to edit every episode. I think the one we did with like Andrew and Mimi ran like 2.5 hours.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk for that long,
Wow.
to be honest. That is a long time.
No, that's kind of like podcasts are.
The
like,
Joe Rogan style.
Yeah, the long
3
form.
hours locked in talking
Yeah.
about.
How else do you get the real gritty, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. Is that going to be released on all the podcast platforms?
I think so. Yeah,
okay.
Kat's actually handling all of that. I'll send you all the information when we get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So look forward to that. Look forward to the unnamed solo rap project by Joules, Mr. Futuristic Vintage.
Yeah.
There's going to be a We Are the Songs album. And there's also going to be, you said your wife, Jennifer, is going to have
She's working on a solo project too.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually have a name for my album.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Can you reveal that to us?
It's going to be called The Best Story Never Told.
Best Story Never Told. Wow. It's wow.
Yeah. I think I'm really excited for this one, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to David too. Doing great things. Episode 50. It's an honor. And I pray that as you continue to grow and find the things that you want to accomplish in your life, that you do it without fear, and that sacrifice is a part of the game. And if Jen and I talk about this a lot, like every time that her and I have let go of something, God has blessed us with something even greater.
Wow.
That's like beyond anything that we could have even fathomed. So like, if it's financial stability that you're afraid of, and this is not just to you, but to like anybody that's listening, then boo-boo, you don't deserve to have the thing that you want, because risk is a prerequisite for passion.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to sacrifice that cushy monthly income that you want, then what I tell people, young people that I see that selfishly want to pursue their passions, but like I can plainly see with my eyes, with no judgment, but like I just know like, okay, like they just love this stuff, but like they're not really learning how to be a professional in this area. They're not mastering it. And I give them like the attitude talk. I'm like, hey man, like maybe it's time that you just like change your attitude and learn how to be happy in the place that you're at right now. And like, cause there's so much power in that too. Like when I was working at my agency, when I was working at my job, like there's so many days I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to quit this place so bad. But I would just pray and I'd just say to God, like, you've blessed me with this position. Like, help me to honor this part of my life right now in this season. Because if I just allow myself to pitfall into this bad attitude, then it's just going to destroy everything around me. It's going to spread like this parasite where I just turn into this negative person. So like, I would pray and I'd say, God, just like give me grace and just help me to, you know, I always say, like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much. You saved me from poverty, Lord. I don't know why you chose me, Father, but you saved me. You allowed me to live this life where I can have food on my table and a roof over my head. And if you have that perspective, then what is it really that you're complaining about?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there are children dying from water in other countries. Like, just pray and just lift your eyes up to Jesus and just say, thank you for saving me. You saved me from poverty, Lord. Like true poverty, like where conditions are hell, literal hell.
Right.
There are people that are living like that. And what makes us so different to have such privilege? We're on the 3rd floor of your house, bro. Like, this would be like a mansion in other world standards, you know? So like, if you start thinking like that, then like, what's really stopping you from having a good attitude about life, you know? So that's the message that I want to give.
Wow.
But like, if I'm going to say this, it's a cold world, man. So like, any idea that you have, like, just if you're afraid of the work, then you're already missing step 1.
Yeah. Man, that's such good advice. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, we're past the hour mark, and this is kind of usually where I ask if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, but yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming. I know you come from Chambly, far off from here. I know
like my mom's house is right up the street.
And then, I mean, we've been trying to plan this for a while. You were busy in like New York and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for making the time to come out.
Absolutely, it's always a pleasure.
It was such a honor having you on.
The honor is all mine. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
So we'll be looking forward to all the projects you release in the upcoming year. And guys, for the listeners, if any of the stuff that we talked about today resonated with you, or you want to send us any feedback, feel free to do so at IHTHTpodcast@gmail.com, or on Instagram at I Hope They Hear This, or on Twitter at it's IHTHT Podcast. And this is the 2nd week running the cameras. I don't know if I'm still learning and playing around with the video editing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I'll make it or not, but hopefully in the future I'll release the video version of this. And make sure to follow John on all the social media platforms. Is it The Futuristic Vintage or
The Futuristic Vintage?
The Futuristic Vintage at Instagram. There's watts.media.
Watts, WATS.media. And then there's at We Are The Songs. And then my wife at Jennifer J. Chung. And then,
follow all them. And I'm sure through those medium, you can be kept up to date on all the things that they'll be releasing in 2020.
Thank you, David, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. And in the future, I hope we can do this more often.
Yeah, I'll have you on my podcast.
Oh yeah,
that'd be good. We can talk about your life.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.